Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am really happy to see everybody. We had about 95 people register for the event, so that's really thrilling. And I'm just so happy that you're here, especially on such a pretty day outside. So I am Robin Schwartz. I am the program and grant director. I am half of our wonderful two-person staff. And I have been at the Community Arts Partnership since 1993. I know it's like really mind-boggling to think about that. I feel very, very lucky to have this job. When I was in high school, I wrote in my diary that I wanted a job that was just like hanging out in the band room in high school, and I have that job. You know, I get to run arts events and distribute grant funds and make arts events happen. Before we begin, I want to thank Sarah Eve Channels. She's helping us with the technical stuff tonight. She is an event producer and does marketing and promotion. I'm going to go over some basic housekeeping. We are taping this event. We would love everyone in the audience to stay on mute throughout the event, unless you're speaking, and to put yourselves back on mute when done. However, I personally love it if you're able to keep your cameras on during the event, because we like to see your faces. I invite everybody to open the chat and use it throughout the event for comments, for sharing, or for questions. That's how we all can join in. And the bathrooms are down the hall. And we will end by 8 o'clock. And Sarah, if you could bring up my slides. So CAP is celebrating our 30th year. And whenever I make a picture, there was one before this that said celebrating 30 years should be. Oh, I see. These are in the different order. I'm just going to go with the order that they're in. So many of you know about our programs. We've got the Greater Ithaca Art Trail, the Spring Rights Literary Festival, which I'm going to plug in a moment, the Ithaca Artists Market, which is on August 12th at the Farmers Market. And we've got I don't see them anymore. We've got our workshops, and we've got the Capitapalooza Art Sale, which is an amazing thing, really, if you're not familiar with that. We basically collect we collect previously owned art from the community in November. You know, we collect the stuff that you need to downsize or don't want anymore. Vintage is great, or just old is good. And then we sell it in December, and it is our very successful annual fundraiser. So this slide, I wanted to say that whenever I make slides for an event for CAP, I always put in multiple pictures, because it's the best way, I think, to kind of communicate all the different things that we do in the community. And this variety of pictures represents all the different communities that we're able to impact. And now go to the next one. And the next slide that I was looking for was the one that had all our programs on it. And you saw that already, and it also included our grants. And now the next slide that I'm looking for, yeah, that one. And now go to the next one after that. Which is the Spring Rights Literary Festival. So the Spring Rights Literary Festival, this is happening soon, so I'm just going to do a little plug for it. It starts on May 5th, and there are 40 literary themed events through June, all free, and 100 participating amazing writers, not all local, some college students, and there's a teen event this year. Some of the events are live, some are on Zoom. Some of the live events will be live streamed, and the variety and quality and uniqueness of these events and the scope of the artists that are participating, you really just have to check out the event page. And Hardy, I'm going to have Hardy put in the chat both the Community Arts Partnership website, which is artspartner.org, and the Spring Rights website, which is springrights.org, spring, WRITES.org. And please take a look. Since many of the events are on Zoom or live streamed, you don't have to be nearby to come to this event. So please share this with your literary loving friends. The next slide is the one with the annual report on it. And I just wanted to invite people to check out our 2021 annual report. There's a link to it from the homepage at artspartner.org. It is chock full of information, statistics, inspiring messages from our executive director, and lots of pictures. It is a fine document. And the next slide just showed our sponsors. I just wanted to show that really quickly and invite you to look at the last page of the final report, which has all of our wonderful sponsors and grant providers on it, along with our staff and board of directors. So the last slide is, I'm just going to go over what's going to happen tonight at our annual celebration. First, we're going to hear from Megan Barber, our executive director, and then John Saunders, our board president. And then this is me. Does this look like me? Wait a minute. Here we go. I'm going to talk about our 2021 and 2022 grant awardees, and we'll feature 3 of them. We have some great video from the Dorothy Cotton Jubilee Singers, and then we'll talk to director Dr. Baruch Whitehead, who's on the call. And we'll see video from Sarah Gotowka from Luna Fiber Studio and hear about a project she was recently funded for with artist Inshik called Fermentation and Appropriation. And we will talk to Anne Reichlin about an artist residency that she is doing right now at Caroline Elementary School. CAP member Rizza Francois will present our first ever Community Arts Catalyst Award to Dr. Nia Nunn. And our annual Friend of the Arts Award will be presented by board member Hardy Griffin to longtime CAP supporter and former board member and board president Jamie Ferris of P.W. Wood and Son. And now we begin. I can't see out of these glasses. I would like to now introduce Megan Barber, our executive director. Megan grew up in Enfield and Caroline, so she has a very strong connection to the local community, and she plays the violin and has a very strong connection to the arts. She started at CAP in February 2020, which is a very interesting time to start a new job. And I hope she stays the CAP ED for a very long time because she is great. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to hand this over to Megan.
Thank you so much, Robin, and welcome everybody. It is so good to see all your faces. It's really a joy to be together on this beautiful evening. Thank you for celebrating with us as our world rushes headlong into spring. It's nice to take a few moments to pause and reflect on all that we've accomplished together over the past year. Here at the Community Arts Partnership in 2021, we were able to give out more grants than ever before. And my smart, fun, and dedicated colleague, Robin, will share highlights of these grants in just a few minutes. This past year, we launched a brand new grant program with support from the Community Foundation called the Creative Recovery Fund. And this grant supported artists and arts groups to address public and mental health, racism, and climate change. And we are thrilled to support artists and connect them with the public through our Greater Ithaca Art Trail, the Spring Rights Literary Festival, CAP Art Space, the Ithaca Artist Market, which made a comeback last summer and will be back in person again this summer. There is so much to be grateful for. In your registration for tonight's event, you were invited to share what you love about our arts community, and it's been so fun to read the responses. You mentioned our excellent live theater scene, our galleries, our vibrant community of creatives and beautifiers, the role of arts in our schools, and just the abundance of talent across the county. And I'd like to invite you now and throughout the evening to use the chat and pop in something that you love about our arts community. 2021 was a year of resiliency. And while individual people can be resilient on their own, a system, a community, is really only resilient as its relationships. And we at the Community Arts Partnership are honored to play a part in strengthening and deepening the many relationships that keep our community strong and thriving with arts and creativity. We're grateful to so many that together form a strong web of support for the arts. The New York State Council on the Arts and Tompkins County, local foundations, area businesses and educational institutions, our arts organizations, artists, audiences, donors, and of course, each of you. I also just want to call into this space this evening the memory of John Spence. John was CAP's executive director before me and sadly passed away a few months ago. He was a musician, an artist, and a community leader, a true leader with a heart of gold, and he's dearly missed. And now it is my privilege to introduce John Saunders. The CAP Board of Directors is top-notch, and I love all of you, all of them. And John serves as the president. He also serves as Senior Vice President of Corporate Development for Tompkins Financial. His steady leadership has guided CAP through these past years, and I am grateful personally for his support and wisdom. Welcome, John.
Well, thank you very much, Megan, for that kind introduction and those beautiful words. You know, I spent this morning at Wegmans, and I'm almost certain that I crossed paths with Carol Spence. And she couldn't recognize me because I had my mask on and a baseball hat on, so she couldn't really tell it was me. But I too want to echo your sentiments about John Spence. He was the executive director before you, Megan, as you mentioned, but he was also the board president when I joined the CAP board over 10 years ago. And he was a true friend and a helpful steward to pushing CAP to where it is today. So I think it's a wonderful way to celebrate our 30th year by mentioning John Spence and everything that he meant to the artist community at large in Tompkins County. So now I kind of feel like it's giving time. Like I feel like the pastor at my church, where he tries to get people excited about giving to CAP and mentioning all the ways to give to CAP. Again, one of the wonderful things about CAP is we're in such a strong financial position. We're in a position where we don't beg. We genuinely ask people to search their hearts and give what they can to help support the arts. We have wonderful sponsors and donors. Many of you are on the phone or on the Zoom today, and we want to say thank you to each one of you. But one important thing that I believe it was Robin mentioned earlier is please go look at our annual report. One of the things that may confuse some donors or sponsors is they may feel like they give money to a nonprofit organization and it goes into a black hole. But at CAP, we recount where your money is being spent. And what you'll see is there's a chart in this annual report that says less than 10% of the money that we raise from sponsors and donors goes to staff. Over 90% of the money that you give to CAP goes back to artists and goes back to arts organizations in our community. And that is very significant. I don't want to undersell that. That is a huge thing about CAP. We really turn around the money that is provided by you as donors and sponsors back to the community. I also want to mention that later this year and early into 2023, we have some big plans as a result of a strategic planning session that we went through as a board. We want to increase our presence in the artist community from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective. So we're going to be coming to you as donors and sponsors and artists to help us enhance what we already do in the DEI space, but we want to do more. So please be on the lookout for some announcements, some ideas, some conversations that I believe Megan will want to have with many of you about ways that we can enhance what we do from a diversity, equity, and inclusion, again, as a result of a strategic planning session of the board. So finally, I really want to thank Megan and Robin for all that they do for the arts. You two are doing a fantastic job, and I genuinely want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to the board. You make my job as board president extremely easy. You guys are super smart and dedicated to the arts, and I am so thrilled and thankful for each of you on the board, and thankful for each of you, Megan and Robin, for all that you do for CAP and for arts in Tompkins County and beyond. So with that, I will pass it back over to Robin. Thank you.
You're muted, Robin.
You're on mute, Robin. Still on mute. Does Hardy have to unplug you?
No, I'm off mute now, right? Can you hear me? Yes. Yeah, I have to follow my own advice. I want to shout out to my brother Marty in Ohio. Thank you for choosing to watch me rather than 60 Minutes tonight. Yay. And my cousin Carol in Oregon. That's so cool. I am going to actually share my screen. And can you see now a page called Latest Grantees? Yes. So I'm pulling this up from our website. It's under the grant tab here under local artist directory. If you want to see this, I just wanted to show you kind of the scope of the grants that we give. This is a searchable database, so I just clicked on Gap Grant. So listen to this. Since 1993, and by the end of 2022, we will have distributed over $5,700,000 to Tompkins County artists, arts organizations, and local not-for-profits for arts events. That's amazing. And in 2021 alone, we distributed $399,000. But where does the money come from? I will tell you. But these grant programs are a huge part of what CAP does. And I really want to acknowledge how powerful our local arts communities are. It's not just that we have a wealth of talented artists, because we do, but we have a wealth of talented artists who are committed to creating awesome events and programs to share with us. We are very lucky in Tompkins County for the wealth of arts that we have. So I'm not going to read all of these grantees here, but I'm just going to scroll through so you can get a sense of scope. So we have, hold on, my husband is talking to my cat very loudly right outside my window. I don't know if you could hear it, but we have 6 grant programs. 3 of them are funded by the New York State Council on the Arts, that's NYSCA, through their statewide community grant program. Every state every county in the state has this money. So the first grant is called Grants for Arts Programs, or the GAP grant. And it's basically for public arts events. And I'm just going to go through this. You know, all grants programs are competitive. It's the nature of grants. And our goal for all of our programs is to support and get these funds to as many communities and diverse cultures and audiences in Tompkins County as possible. You won't see the larger arts organizations here because they apply directly to NYSCA for funding. What you're seeing here are mostly the smaller arts organizations, community centers, libraries, rural village programming, and the like. Most of these grants are actually for performing arts. Look, it's still going. It's going and going. And these are 2021 and 2022 grants that we've got here. So the next one is our Artist and Community Grant. That is also a NYSCA grant. It is for artists to create new work and to share the creation or the inspiration behind that work in a very significant and specific way with a local community. And here are 21 and 2022 arts and education grantees. We've got our arts education grant. Then we have Ann Reichlin later on is going to talk about one that she got this year. These support artists going into the schools for arts residencies and after-school programs with cultural institutions. Teaching artists not only do art instruction, but they weave the arts into the K-12 core curriculum to make difficult subjects easier to understand, to teach them language skills, social skills, decision-making, creative problem solving, inventiveness. And I think this is one of my favorite grants, or maybe I don't have a favorite. I love all my grants. The next one is the Creative Recovery Fund. That's the one Megan was talking about earlier. It began in 2021 thanks to the Community Foundation of Tompkins County's Tompkins Today and Tomorrow Fund, which generously seeded this new grant with $10,000. And then we raised an additional $8,000 from the community. And we will have a 2022 Creative Recovery Fund launching soon. This grant is for community-focused arts and cultural projects. And Megan said this, but I've got it written down, so I have to say it, that make a difference in our community's recovery and the focus areas of racial justice, public and mental health, and economic recovery. And then we've got our SOS grant, that's Specific Opportunity Stipend. And the SOS grant, an anonymous family foundation gives us $24,000 a year. This is for artists or local arts organizations. And what's really great about this grant, well, it looks like I still have the 2020 ones in here as well. What's great about this grant is that it can fund a career opportunity for an artist anywhere in the world, whereas all of our other grants are for Tompkins County-based programming. So this is really about supporting an artist's career and life work. By the way, if anyone has the funds to brainstorm the creation of a new grant program, just like the way this Family Foundation did for our SOS grant, that is a conversation we would be very, very excited to have. Look at all this. And lastly, still going. Still going, oh my God. Lastly, we have our Arts and Cultural Organizational Development Grant. This is funded, this money is from the Tompkins Tourism Program, and we administer the grant. ACOD supports organizations that enhance Tompkins County's brand as an artistic and cultural destination. This is basically general operating support, I believe, for these organizations. So that's pretty impressive, right? And that's just this year and last year. I can't resist telling you a quick quote from Linda Wingirter, who was a grant recipient last year, from String Puller Puppets. I cannot thank you enough for my CAP grant that provided the seeds that blossomed into such abundance, not just for myself, but the many artists that I meet and work with in Tompkins County, who have also been supported, uplifted, and pushed forward in their work by CAP. Art is made better in a community of flourishing art, and flourishing art makes a better community. I am grateful for all CAP does to make that happen. So next, we're going to watch two parts of a video from the Dorothy Cotton Jubilee Singers, and we'll talk to Dr. Baruch Whitehead afterwards. We'll see the beginning of a video where Dr. Whitehead talks about the group, and then a short excerpt from a performance. So we're going to start with the video. Dr. Whitehead is an associate professor of music education at IC, the founding director of the Dorothy Cotton Jubilee Singers, and is and has been involved in so many things and has received so many honors. I encourage you to go to their website and to learn more. The singers have received many CAP grants annually since 2012 and have now received the ACOD funds and most recently our Creative Recovery Fund. So let us start this video. And thank you, Baruch, for being with us tonight. We will talk with you afterwards.
The Dorothy Cotton Jubilee Singers started back in 2010, and it grew out of my homage to my grandmother, who would sing these spirituals all the time when I was growing up in Louisiana. And I asked her, I said, why are you singing these songs are long ago or slavery songs? And she just simply said, these songs give me courage. So And then I met Dorothy Cotton 15 years ago or so, prior to me starting this group. The group originally started off as the Ithaca Jubilee Singers. And I heard Dorothy speak on the radio about her work with Dr. King. And I was so fascinated and so enthralled with what she was saying. I actually pulled my car over to the side of the road to listen because I wanted to absorb every single word that she was saying. And then at the end of the interview, they said, "This is Dorothy Cotton from Ithaca, New York." And I thought, I can't believe that she's in Ithaca. I absolutely must meet this person. And we were able to connect and became good friends. And she talked a lot about how she used music in the civil rights movement to really bring people together, to build bridges and not walls. So that really resonated with me. I really wanted to use this music to preserve this music, the artistic format of the Negro spirituals. So that's how the group was born. And she was very, very thrilled to have the group named in her honor. But her work in the civil rights movement, we want to keep her legacy alive. So if you don't know about Dorothy Cotton, Google her. She is an unsung hero of the civil rights movement, and she gives us courage today to continue in the struggle.
And now let's get Baruch onto the screen. Hi.
Hello, everybody. So nice to be here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So do you have any upcoming concerts that you wanted to tell us about, or anything else you want to tell us about?
Well, first of all, I will just say thank you to the Community Arts Partnership, because without that funding, I'm not sure if this group would be in existence. COVID hit us very hard. It was very, very difficult to keep the group together. So through these funds, we were able to stay together. And actually, about a month ago, we were able to perform at Carnegie Hall, which was a really wonderful treat, I would say, but it was just a dream come true from this little group from Ithaca, New York, to be able to sing on that stage. So that being said, we do have a concert coming up. Because of COVID, we are rescheduling our annual MLK concert at the State Theater on Wednesday, May 4th at 7:30 p.m. That's a rescheduled concert from January, when we typically do our celebration of Dr. King. So please come out and support us. As with all of our concerts, everything is free because we want everyone to be able to enjoy these concerts without feeling the burden of purchasing the ticket. So that has been our policy from the start, and we're really happy to continue that, even though funds are really great to keep the group going. And then on May 7th, which is a Saturday afternoon, right before Mother's Day, at Culp Auditorium at Ithaca High School, we'll be performing a concert with the 6th grade chorus at Boyden Middle School under the direction of our Associate Director, Emily Preston. So those two events are coming up pretty soon, in a couple weeks. So please come and support us. We would really appreciate it. But again, I would like to thank you so much for the support over the years. You just never know how much that means to us. And I love the quote that you mentioned, Robin, about the seed. that grows. So we continue to grow, and we're very, very excited that the group was able to stay together and function during a pandemic. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Yeah, we were lucky at CAP because, my events, a literary event, transfers very easily to Zoom, but the musical group certainly had quite the challenge these past couple of years. So thank you for keeping it going. We put your Dorothy Cotton Jubilee Singers link in the chat.
Excellent, thank you.
So, and someone put a quote. Oh, great. There's great quotes coming into the chat. Now let's get Anne Reichlin up on the screen. I met Anne, it must have been about 20 years ago, I think, I'm guessing, initially as an installation artist of huge structures in different parts of the state. And a few years ago, Anne started a program called Make Way for Play and has been offering it in kindergarten classrooms at Caroline Elementary School, and has received our arts education grant for this and a puppet project in the first grade at Caroline Elementary School. And I just want to mention that the best arts education projects are those that allow the children to use their imagination and creativity to create their own interpretation of the art form being taught. And that's exactly what you're doing. And we're going to pull some slides up while Anne is speaking. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. And thank you for having me tonight and for funding this project that enables me to work with the kids at Caroline Elementary School. So what I just have here is a couple images. And on the left is a picture of a work in progress that's in, that was a work in progress actually last year. It's now up on display at a historic site in Philadelphia. And I'm showing it here because when I'm not working with kids, I'm a sculptor and I work in my studio. I work on site-specific pieces. I work on objects. I work in drawing. And I bring that particular experience of being kind of where art is at the core that defines my life to my experience working with kids. And so when I'm working with kids, it's my hope to share the joy that I have from the process of making art. Next slide. Okay, so this image is of a couple kids that were from a workshop that I gave prior to my workshops at Caroline Elementary School, but it was a trigger for the workshop. With these particular kids, I had given this group a wheeled, a really basic wheeled chassis, and let them create a vehicle of some sort. And what I observed what the kids did with this is they brought it, and after they made it, they started to play with it. And when they played with it, they started to play with each other. And then as they played with it, it opened up all kinds of creative possibilities that they went back to the art table, repainted it, remade it, built the environment. And so there became this interaction between what they made and then how they used it. And so I became very interested in that idea that rather than an art piece that a kid makes, or actually as an adult makes for that matter, being something that you put up on a wall or stick up on a shelf, it would be something that you can then have a second life that you interact with and use in a different way. Next slide, please. This image is actually from Caroline Elementary School. So I brought this idea of the notion of play to the principal of Caroline Elementary School several years ago now. And I wanted to kind of elaborate on that and create a workshop within the school. And as it happened, they were beginning their own program of experiential learning. And so I connected with that program that they were working on, which at that time, and still is actually a wilderness case study in which they were using the natural environment, the stream, and the animals that live in the area next to Caroline Elementary School, which is also 6 Mile Creek. And so with each of these kids, I created, each one got to choose an animal, and they were studying those animals, and they got to I made little sculptures with the kids. And then those sculptures in turn became avatars that they could play with. This material is really, really sturdy. You could drop this and it wouldn't break. We also made environments. Some of those environments were fantasy environments, and some of those environments were more realistic environments. But then what the teachers then did with this is they used the animals as the starting point for storytelling. And that is how it ultimately really ties into the curriculum, not only as natural science, but it also ties in with the fact that with these animals, they can tell a tale and builds those literacy skills. This is actually for kindergarten, and I'm again doing this a similar program with them this year. So next slide, please. So this image is also at Caroline Elementary School, but with a different teacher. And these kids were really just studying, focused on birds. And so I've adapted the workshop for each teacher as a teacher needs. And the kids made these birds as puppets. And as you can see in the picture, the kids took these and kind of used them to kind of interact with each other. And then the teacher used these same birds, and you can see some of the props that went along with it, to build a puppet story that helped, again, build those literacy skills. And so I did this project for 5 years, part of the time focused by CAP and part of the time funded by PTA. And so I couldn't do it during the pandemic. And so I began it again this year, happily being funded by the CAP grant. Next slide. Okay, so this is this year's project. This is a brand new workshop that I've never done before, and it's really been extremely fun to work on it. This is a puppet workshop. I'm working with the first graders. I really wanted to work with first graders because I didn't get a chance to work with them when they were kindergartners. So these are puppets, and each child gets their own little puppet theater that they can adapt and play with. So I worked with the community, the makerspace, the Tompkins Public Library, to help build some of the component pieces for the puppet theaters. And I'm happy to say that there's not a single puppet theater or puppet that is the same between the kids. So what's really been fun is that as a result of using the laser cutter, actually the makerspace, I was able to make a lot of like loose parts, and with every loose part becomes an opportunity for somebody to put it together in some completely unexpected way. And as with the wilderness case study, these kids will be able to use this as a catalyst for creative storytelling and as a catalyst for imaginative thinking and for building that kind of interior world that can be sustaining hopefully throughout a lifetime. So that's what I have tonight. So it's actually been really fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you. So our last featured artist is Sarah Gotowka, or a featured grantee is Sarah Gotowka, who could not join us tonight. She has received many grants, including a 2020 SOS grant for opening a storefront on Main Street in Trumansburg for her Luna Fiber studio. The first video excerpt we're going to see from Sarah is about Luna Fiber studio and herself. We'll see a piece of that. That video was created by Shira Evergreen of UpliftedIthaca.com. And most recently, Sarah received a Creative Recovery Fund grant. And the second video excerpt is a book she is creating with artist Inshik called Fermentation and Appropriation, to be distributed when finished around Tompkins County to farms, the youth farm that she works with, and also hopefully our local libraries, stores, and places like Green Star. The Creative Recovery Fund grant was for the artistic part of that project. And now her first video.
Hi, my name's Sarah Katoka. I'm the owner and director of Luna Fiber Studio. We're a textile-based studio specializing in weaving and natural dyes and rooted in sustainability and social justice. We grow our dye plants here at Remembrance Farm. They are a biodynamic and organic farm that have been hosting me for the past 5 years. I went to school for art, and I was going down the path of thinking that I was going to be a graphic designer. But then I took an intro to fiber class and I learned how to dye. And I just remember really falling in love with watching color be absorbed into wet fiber. And I was like, there's something that's pulling at my heartstrings that I hadn't felt before, and I knew that I needed to do it. One of the largest reasons why I choose to use natural dyes is because I love the relationship of growing a plant from seed to nurturing it to its full pigment potential, and then harvesting it, and then extracting color and applying it to a textile. That process is very healing. It brings me closer to the land. I thought that I was going to grow natural dyes and then dye yarn and have like a line of yarn that I would then sell for like gigantic amounts of money. But then I took a business class at Alternatives, and I remember they gave us like a formula that was like, this is how you can tell if your business is going to work or not. And I remember like my business model didn't work because I was expending so much labor on the dyeing process and the growing process that I was like, even though I was selling skeins of yarn for $75 each, you know, it should have been like $300 each. So that's when I kind of like really revamped and realized that, you know, the educational aspect of my business was the most profitable and the most.
That's good for that one. The this next clip is what's before where we're going to start is talking about how Sarah was adopted, and Inshik Lee is also Korean. Sarah's Korean, Inshik Lee is Korean, and Sarah started hanging out with Inshik Lee and Inshik Lee's mother, and really was got very involved in the process of cooking and learning fermentation and the storytelling about Korea. And then we pick up right here. So let's start this video.
Astrid Castillo, who works at the Youth Farm Project, asked me, Inshik, and Inshik's mother, Harmony, to come and give a workshop on fermentation. So I don't know, Inshik, if you want to talk a little bit while I scroll through pictures.
Yeah, so I met Sarah, and I know that she was trying to, you know, find some of her Korean connections. My mother had just recently moved in with me in the last 3 years, so she and I have been cooking a lot together, and it's also a means for us to think about, you know, she's 90 plus years old, so I'm thinking, oh, well, you know, we've cooked together, but I need to write some of this stuff down. And so, and Sarah mentioned that, oh, we want to make some kimchi. The kids love kimchi because it's now very commonplace or hipster to eat Korean food. And then to work in the yard and in the garden to grow vegetables, it seemed like a very appropriate sort of move right into this kimchi conversation.
Yeah. And so like during this workshop, we kind of were fleshing out ideas of like what we wanted to talk about, and we wanted to share, you know, not only this recipe and our stories around kimchi, but we wanted the kids, you know, at the Youth Farm Project, they're really based in like liberatory education, and thinking about food pathways and, you know, systems of oppression and how they're tied into our food systems. And so, you know, we were talking a lot about cultural appropriation, like, you know, kimchi is something that we see, you know, if we just look at Ithaca, we can see lots of people who are making kimchi that aren't necessarily Korean. And we wanted to kind of question that and talk about power dynamics and how that plays into what we're eating. And yeah, and so that's what really like gave us the idea for our zine. And we're still in the stages of putting it together. But Inshik's done some incredible artwork for it. If you want to
I've done some illustrations. I'm going to turn this back. This is my backyard, so I'm going to turn this off for just so you'll see. So I've just done some ink drawings of some of the ingredients. You can see my mother in the background. She's wandering around. And I just a little bit of watercolor. So I've done some watercolors. We're just basically putting in some ingredients for the kimchi, just as backdrop, since we've been dealing with the ideas of food coming from the land and how things are grown. Instead of seeing the kimchi as a final product, thinking about all the parts that go into the making of the kimchi. And also,
look at this. This is our cover.
Well, this is a traditional Korean table that would have been set, and up here at the top would have been like multiple versions of kimchi. And so this watercolor kind of defined the ability to sit down at a low table together with multiple cultural foods that go beyond kimchi, obviously.
Mm. And that wraps it up. So thanks for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Hey, good to see you.
Thank you. Somebody wrote, "Now I'm hungry," into the chat. Me too. So I just want to say that the Creative Recovery Grant, what was funded was the art part of that project. So now I'm going to turn everything back over to Megan.
Great, thanks, Robin. Oh, my heart just feels sparkly seeing all of the art and artists and listening to the choir. So thank you, everybody. It's an honor to introduce Rizza Francois. Rizza is a CAP board member and chair of our governance committee, and she is the development director at the Ithaca Children's Garden. And Rizza will be presenting our new Community Arts Catalyst Award, which goes to a person who has really jump-started a lot of arts programming in our community and has made a big impact on the community through the arts. Take it away, Rizza.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rizza Francois, and I am a board member with Community Arts Partnership, and I am super, super honored to be presenting the Community Arts Catalyst Award to Dr. Nia Nunn. I'm gonna set my timer because I know I don't have that much time, so let me go. Okay. Dr. Nia Nunn wears multiple hats, specifically head wraps, as a mother, artist, educator, speaker, activist, and community leader. Her Black consciousness work centers on anti-racist and abolitionist frameworks that honor a Black femme, oral, and visual tradition. She is committed to teaching and engaging audiences creatively, intensely, and gracefully. Dr. Nia completed her PhD in school psychology at Michigan State University in 2011 and a BA in early childhood education at Clark Atlanta University in 2003. Currently an Ithaca College Associate Professor of Education and Psychology and Board of Directors President of Southside Community Center. Dr. Nia is the creator of programs, research designed to empower and uplift the voices of youth, particularly young Black women and girls, a mother to 3 boys, a poet, dancer, and yogi. Dr. Nia is the embodier of radiance, empowerment, and permission. Now that I got through that, I just want to add some additional stuff here. So I've had the opportunity to work with Dr. Nia before I was a board member, but when I was a student at Ithaca College, empowering the community and the students, I felt her energy and engagement before I was on CAP. Also participated in the Well-Read Black Girl Book Club, which it encouraged me and introduced me to so many Black women writers that I had not known of outside of, you know, the Toni Morrison and et cetera. And also just through a variety of multiple community events, such as Juneteenth, and all with her vision of uplifting young Black women and girls. So it means so much to me today to be presenting this award, because I really look up to Dr. Nia. There we go, that's my timer. I did it. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Nia as this year's Community Catalyst Award recipient.
Oh man, you know, you already know. I adore you and check you out. Board member, making decisions and all of that. I'm so grateful. I truly am. This is an honor to connect with you all this evening. Robin is just, oh man, she's relentless. She makes it happen. She makes sure that artists are taken care of in this community. And I truly, truly honor that. Megan has become a really good friend as well. So Megan, you are making it happen with CAP. I'm honored by your leadership. And I didn't know about John. I didn't know. So I'm just finding this out, and that hits a certain kind of way. He was super, super sweet and present. We had a very nice connection. So I'm honored to acknowledge him this evening as well. So I'm supposed to set my timer too, because this is a conversation I love to have. I'm going to take a minute for myself, and to thank you again. Thank you for the acknowledgement. There's so much that has happened so far this evening that is directly relevant. Like, I mean, Dr. Baruch Whitehead is the ultimate mentor in this community. In fact, he and my father were the founders of CMEP, the Community Unity Music Education Program that I run and direct and write for and lead. And both Black Girl Alchemists and CMEP, I would say that they serve as my little love letter to Ithaca. I love Ithaca. Can I tell you, I drove home today from, I go to DC, Maryland, Virginia. That's my spot. That's where my family is. And it's kind of my getaway spot. And that's how I say you make Ithaca work. You take trips and you come back. That's how you make Ithaca work. And we joke about this all the time, that the two best days are the day that you're leaving to go explore and do something different, and then the day you come home. So I just had a beautiful day coming home, and I made it by like 3 minutes of this program. So I'm telling you all my business. But as I think about that and think about that joy, so much of my work is centered around art, literacy, liberation, and the creative ways that we can use art to teach and to transform. But I would also say, again, I love Ithaca, and I want more Black people to love Ithaca more specifically and unapologetically. And I think that some of that relationship is strengthened and comes through opportunities to connect with art, to highlight the role that art plays in our collective, but also in seeing ourselves as individuals. So I think art ultimately is a completely transformative tool, but look forward to some big things. I'm excited for CMEP to be back at Southside this summer. We just tried a impromptu winter camp, and we're gonna do a little spring one. But we also have some big visions, a children's book, a documentary, a musical, all of the above. Any and every opportunity that I can create or be a part of creating, where young people recognize their value, where they fall in love with their brilliance, I'm with it. I'm with it all the way. And so the opportunities to receive funding and to pay artists well, particularly artists of color and especially Black of Ithaca. So I'm super grateful. I'm excited to partner with you all for always. And I appreciate the introduction and love this evening. So my 4 minutes are up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nia, and congratulations. It's a complete joy to me to be able to work with you. So thanks for joining us tonight. Now I would like to introduce another board member, Hardy Griffin. He is our vice president, and he is also the founding editor of a literary magazine called Novel Slices, which showcases excerpts of novels. And Hardy will be presenting our annual Friend of the Arts Award, which goes to people, businesses, and institutions with a longstanding and deep commitment to the Community Arts Partnership and the arts in Tompkins County. So go ahead, Hardy.
Hey, thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It's been such a great, wonderful night. I tell you, Megan and Robin and everyone are just doing such a wonderful job. It gives me great pleasure to present our Friend of the Arts Award recipient this year, Jamie Ferris, the owner of the Wood Agency, P.W. Wood & Son. I was amazed to find something out. I recently sort of dug into the Wood Agency and spoke with Jamie, and the Wood Agency actually predates Cornell by a few years. It was founded in 1853. So I won't go through every year since then, thankfully, but in 1977, Jamie's father started at the Wood Agency and apparently did really well, because in 1979, he became the owner. And then Jamie started the agency in 1992, became president in 2010, and full owner of the agency in 2014. And here is the thing, is that right from the beginning of the Community Arts Partnership, Jamie and his father have been staunch supporters, have always been there. And I just can't tell you how happy it makes me to be recognizing Jamie as the as the Friend of the Arts Award recipient this year. I hope you'll please join me in recognizing and welcoming Jamie Ferris.
Well, thank you so much, Hardy. I'm truly honored by this award. It seems a little anticlimactic in the face of all this amazing art that we've just been experiencing about, but and congratulations to Nia and congratulations to the other artists that have presented here in the grant recipients. That is what CAP is all about. And one of the reasons that we've had the longstanding relationship, and I've been personally involved with CAP for the length of time that I have. I'd like to thank John and Megan and Robin and all the other board members who are on. John and I served together. I served with John for this overlapping time period there. He's a tremendous steward and carried on the mission of that organization. I'm proud to have been part of the organization to help create the SOS grants. It happened while I was on the board. Certainly was not all my doing at all, and I'm certainly not taking credit for that. Just happy that I was there. I do want to speak briefly about, just quickly to say thank you to the two other executive directors that I experienced time with on the board, Brett Bossard at the beginning of my time, and dear John Saunders. I mean, there's been a lot of heartfelt comments, but I was deeply saddened to hear about John's passing this past year, and he was very influential. I had such wonderful conversations with John, as you do between the executive director and a board president, and we just spoke about everything. And he was a very soulful person and a tremendous loss to this community as far as an artist and just a human being. I also wouldn't be able to do all the efforts I did and what I was able to do without the grateful support of my beautiful wife, Melissa, and my three beautiful daughters, Adele, Grace, and Laura. They helped support me so I could support you guys and participate in CAP. It's been a very surreal day for me today. I started with a birthday party for a next door neighbor's 3-year-old. I then had to go to a funeral over Watkins for a friend of mine and a business associate that I've known for 25 years. And then it's culminating in this art award. But all throughout that, what I've thought about this whole day is how important art is to be part of your life and how important it is to have art in all of its forms. Not being an artist myself, I found a way that I could help contribute, and that was to give my time and continue to hopefully give my sponsorship and support. But it's infinitesimal to the art that's created and what happens by the art that's on there and what CAP supports as an organization. It's so impressive. I mean, it really is. I mean, Robin scrolls through those lists and the dollar amounts that's been helped to be disseminated to the community because of CAP. It's just so tremendous. And we live in such a vibrant, rich, artistic community here. We're so blessed to have that. And I'm just honored that, I'm being recognized. And for that, it's just what I do is small compared to that. So thank you all so very much. I tremendously appreciate it. I'm very humbled and honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. I just wanted to say something about John Spence. It was cancer that got him. But before that, he went to his uncle's funeral one day, and it was an open casket. And he came back from the funeral and he said, "Robin, we need to work hard, but God, we have to have some fun. Let's make sure to have some fun." And I remember that every day. And I want to thank, it's right at 8 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight. It was a great event. And if anyone just wants to stick around for the after party right now, you can take yourself off mute. We can chat, if I don't want to go yet. I want to hang out. So Megan, do you want to say anything before we officially sign off?
No, just thank you everyone for joining us. It's been super fun to be with all of you, and I feel reinvigorated in my work after experiencing this celebration. Congratulations and love to so many of you. And yeah, feel free to stick around for some informal hangout if you like. Thank you.
Thank you. We have taped this event, so it will be up on our website if you want to share it with anyone. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all so much.